everybody. It is Deborah Bishop or Rev Deb, and I'm here with the beautiful Isabel Hundt, and we are here today as the leaders of the New Earth Co-Creators movement, and bringing our weekly podcast into your space, wherever that may be, your kitchen, your bedroom, your living room, your car. We're happy that you're here. How are you today, Isabel?
I'm doing good. I just have trouble looking at your camera because it's moving and
I know
making
it's
me
because my
dizzy.
cat is rubbing up against everything. See this tail? This is my cat. And
Yep.
she's decided to rub up against everything, which is shaking everything. And we're gonna get her off the desk maybe. And maybe she'll
Uh,
stay, maybe she won't.
okay.
Anyway, we had something interesting, as we do, we had sort of an interesting pre-game conversation before the podcast, talking about what we really wanted to talk about today. And you can blame this one on me because I kind of came in hot under the collar a little bit, always with an open heart, but just in awe of some experiences I recently had in social gatherings. And it incited a newsletter on behalf of myself and some other things. And I have this massive query in my mind of how individuals, can truly take these stands that they take based on information that they're getting from sources that, are questionable at best, simply because the agendas are so blatant. It's hard to even sort of deny that there's things happening behind the scenes that none of us really know about. There's just things being forced and pushed. I mean, all we have to do is look at the state of this country to recognize that there are things happening and have been happening and unfolding in the last couple of years in a very intense way. And it's like, okay, I go to alternative sources. I make sure that those sources are vetted as to the best of my ability, but I still can't take this position that I was surrounded by people taking the other night. Just this idea that I absolutely know what's going on and I'm absolutely right about it. And anybody who disagrees with this, they're the wrong people and they're the bad people and it's their fault. And yes, I'm generalizing. I'm not being specific on purpose. It doesn't matter what side of the fence these folks are on. I don't think there should be a fence, period. And I think everybody's opinion can be respected. But if we don't really know, if we're not involved in the internal workings of this, if we're not face to face with the people that are really creating and causing, how can any of us come in as, wanting to, I have no idea why I'm still shaking, wanting to literally maybe I'm shaking, wanting to say that, oh, we know exactly what's going on, and therefore, we have to understand wholly and completely, and you're wrong and I'm right. I can't be too definitive because I don't want to get off onto the subject matter of what the conversation was about. I want to stay more in this idea of the fact that we think we know and we don't really have a clue. We're only guessing. And how can we, at this place of guessing, be so adamant as to point a finger at somebody else and say, you're wrong? That's what's on my mind, my heart.
Right. Um, and when one of my soul languages is observer. It's
Mhm.
very strong within myself. If anyone's interested in soul language, my friend Jennifer Orazio, it does that with soul language. I think it's soullanguage.com or something. I'm not quite sure. I need to look it up. But anyway, so one of my very strong soul languages is observer. And for me right now, it's really difficult to even participate in conversations. I have this internal feeling of, I just want to move. I just want to move somewhere else and start all over and have all new friends, even though I love my friends. I don't want to, some of them I take with me. um, but at the same time, I feel like I just want to break out of this system. It's a very, very strong feeling of breaking out and not quite knowing how to move forward and what to do and when and all that.
So with you.
Because you see it on both sides. Both sides believe that
Yep.
they are right.
Yep.
And people that I dearly love, they're like, holding up Trump as this person who is
Oh, you took it there.
saving.
You went there. You took it
I
there.
went there. I went there because it's an obvious topic, right? With everything that's going on, but it's just like it's literally left against right. So when you look at it, it's either way. I can't sit on either side, you
No.
know? It's almost like, how do I sit in the middle and just observe and just figure out my own path in the middle? Because you will have aspects of both sides that are resonating, that I'm like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And then the other side, where it's just being taken to an extreme. I keep telling to people, no matter where you are at, if you get to a stand to where you hold up a specific person or a specific group of people that you feel you have to defend, even if you're not part of that group, or a particular person, you have almost like this hero complex, where you get trapped in one way or another, instead of figuring out who you are and what needs to be healed within yourself. No matter where you're attaching yourself and what opinion you're attaching yourself is actually more of a representation of what you want to experience for yourself. And I'm going to take it there now. If you're looking at one person and you believe this one person is going to save you, maybe it's something about you where you feel like you would like to be seen this way. You would like to be acknowledged this way as the person who is here to save lives, to help, save society from whatever you think we need saving. Where on the other hand, you maybe whatever, you're in a very defensive mode of a particular group, under the disguise of inclusion. But maybe it's more about, I want to be seen too. I want to be fought for, like I am holding up my values for the other people, for the group that I don't maybe even belong to, right? Or
Mhm.
according to
So
labels.
yeah, you're being. I get it, and I think that I agree. I completely agree that there can be people that are feeling like, they're standing up for others in their stance, because
Mm,
that's kind of what I'm hearing you say, is like they're standing up for others. They feel like they must stand up for others and so forth. And I understand all of that, and I can appreciate all of that. I think there's also a percentage of individuals that they want to be, I call them the armchair warriors. you know
mm,
they don't want to leave their armchair. They don't really actually want to stand up, right? They want somebody else to stand up, so they're going to fight for that, because that lets them take care of it. Like, I believe that they'll take care of it,
yes.
therefore I'm going to sit here and I'm going to condemn the people who aren't agreeing with me, because those are the people who are going to take care of it. So it's not that they want to be seen as now the savior, but they also want to be saved, and they don't necessarily want to do anything about that. And I think there's a lot of people who are angry, who are upset, who are unsure, who are afraid. And it gives them a place to vent too. It just gives them this arena that they can vent into. So you say, I'm angry and I can't, we should, I think, excuse me, I'm using should, but it's a word that sometimes needs to be used. We should have a voice, much stronger voice as people, as a collective, in what's actually happening. It's so bizarre to me that we vote people in, and then they create all of these laws, all of these things that they do under the auspice that they've been voted in. But they do all this with never actually asking us if we're even wanting that, if we
Mm,
even want the tax dollars to go towards that. None of that. It's like we vote them in and they have carte blanche to do whatever it is that they're going to do under our name, as
yeah.
are we the people, except that we the people, in my humble opinion, are getting completely negated in all of this. We the corporations, most definitely. We the billionaires, most definitely. And it's not about money, it's about greed, it's about power, and it's about those in charge that are paying to be in charge of those that are supposed to be in charge, who are getting very wealthy by playing the roles that they play. And where do we the people actually fall in? And so for me, it's like this perspective at this point, after everything that's been unfolding, blatantly
Mm,
unfolding. I mean, let's admit that spiritually the veils are lifting, most definitely. Energetically, the veils are lifting. So we're seeing all this chaos. We're seeing all of these stories and injustices and fantasies and fairy tales. We're seeing what the media is representing and what they're not even paying any attention to. There is so much going on that is not reported. It is not talked about because it doesn't serve what needs to be served at this moment in time, which is not we the people. And that's
Mhm.
really my conundrum, because whether you're here, right, left, sideways, upside down, backwards, I don't care, wherever you are, right? We are not being served. And by continually fighting with one another, we're not going to be served. That's the dilemma that I find myself in. I don't say I observe. I'm a huge observer as well. I love to observe. I'm fascinated by people. I am truly fascinated
Mhm.
by how did we get here? What's really going on? I don't judge it. I don't even judge people for having their opinion. I'm not judging them when I have this conversation. I'm more in awe of the fact, like, how can we get to this place where we can move beyond the I'm right, you're wrong conversations and move into something more collectively. Like that's what I hope my heart against heart to all things, that New Earth co-creators is that place where it's
Yeah.
like, we don't care what your politics are, we don't care what color your skin is, we don't care what your social status is, we don't care what your bank account looks like. Come here with an open heart, come here with a loving spirit, come here with collaborate, wanting to make something that is a better, more beautiful space. Come here with peace in mind, even though none of us know what that really looks like. Come here and let's create this together. Leave the rest, as my acting coach used to say years ago, leave it in the truck, man. Leave it outside. It doesn't have a place here.
Yeah, and I think we're moving toward that. I actually think what we're seeing now is like this last grasp onto that last little straw that we can hold on to defend our own identity, things that we have believed in for a very long time, things that we have identified with for a very long time, if it's generational or even if it's just within our own lifetime. I think for me, it gets very exhausting at this point to even engage with most people. I'll be honest. Like it almost like I don't even want to say anything. I don't even want to teach anything. I don't even want to, defend anything or whatever. It's um almost like compassion fatigue.
Mhm.
Where you just sit there, I'm like, okay, well, let's just see how it plays out. I'm gonna sit here and watch. I'm, prepared, taken care of. I know where I'm at and who I am. If you all guys wanna, bang your heads at each other, go for it. And I'll just sit here. But that's also not what I'm called to do either, just to sit
Yeah.
and not do anything, right? So it's really difficult for people
Yeah.
who are in the middle, who always find themselves trying to mediate, to find that way, to just, yeah, it gets really exhausting because you have everything fly over your head from either side. um it takes a lot of sanity, so I'm really getting to this point
Or
where I can
insanity, as
feel.
the case may be, because I personally feel slightly crazy with all of this. But I agree with what you're saying, except that I think I've gotten to the place where I no longer even want to mediate. I just am like, okay, that's that perspective. That's that perspective. What about this perspective? Not,
Right.
can you see your point of view? Can you see your point of view? But rather, if we let go of all points of view, what about this? It's like talking with somebody the other night, and they were just going on and on about how this was so messed up and just blah, blah, blah. And finally, they stopped talking, and I just looked at them and I just said, what's amazing is that life is really a miracle. And they were just like, what? I said something that wasn't precisely, but I said something very close to that. And their eyes went wide and they kind of stepped back for a second. And, and it was like they took a breath and I saw their whole energy just go, whoo. And it was really neat to see, because it shifted. They kind of went, oh,
Mm.
there's a part of them went, yeah, I forgot that part. Like, oh, what do I do with that information? It just stilled the water, which was very choppy. And it was all that I could say, because number one, I didn't feel, first of all, like it was going to go in any good direction to offer any other food for thought that dealt with what they were talking about at all, because
Right.
you just don't. Today's reality with where people are at this moment, they're like sort of supercharged in this place of thinking that they know that they know that they know, and therefore they know, right? And so if you introduce, what I found for me personally, if I introduce something, it's like it gets grabbed a hold of and it gets consumed in some other direction that
It is.
was not even meant to go in. So I've sort of, I've put thrown the white flag in a way. I've said, I've surrendered, spirit. I just surrender. Just let me, when it's time, let me find the right word to come to introduce love into the circumstance, to introduce peace into the circumstance, to introduce some other concept that changes the energy, and it doesn't feel like mediation anymore. Because I am
Yeah.
definitely peacekeeper. Definitely, I am peacekeeper. That has been my role since the day I took my first breath. It's just been the place where I'm at. But I'm also a catalyst. I stir it, right? I stir
Yeah.
it, but I stir it so that we can get to the place where there's peace, not to fight.
See, for me, one of my other soul languages is actually negotiator. It's one of my next strong ones. And so, unless I'm being asked to negotiate or to, figure things out within the group dynamic, depending on, doesn't matter if it's 2 people or if it's 50 people,
Mhm.
um, I usually just sit back and use that observer energy, that as well as the conductor energy, just through my observing. Um, but yes, it is really difficult, even for me right now, to figure out how to navigate sometimes the conversations, how to, um, I don't know, how to even weave through it. It's like you're going through a maze and you're trying to figure out which way to go, left or right, because there is not much that is different, you
Well,
know.
and that's the thing,
That's where
right?
we have to shovel the road.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Maybe it isn't about going left or right,
Yeah.
because this is what we're talking about, and what I really invite people to do, and I hope we continue to grow our reach, and that is to start checking out what New Earth Co-Creators really is about. To start, we talked about how do we serve this community better, how do we do all those things before we got on this particular broadcast, and I think the biggest thing that we can do is growth and creating curiosity and saying, hey, if any part of this conversation means any sense to you at all, join us, because the truth is, I don't think it is about going right or left anymore. I think
No.
it's about forging a new path. And that path may not be clear. And it might be looking into the jungle and going, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through here? How am I going to move these things that appear to be in the way? But this is where I think we have to really, or we deserve to really recognize that we are energetic beings and that we are in alignment with everything that is alive here. And that when we change our direction and we move with intention, we don't have to move anything. It moves out of the way for us. A way opens, providence, right? Where there was no
Yeah.
way, a way shows itself. And that's where I believe that we're really at. Because I don't know how to go right or left anymore. Because as long as I do those things, honestly, I'm repeating something. I'm historically going down something that has already always existed. And therefore, even though I might notice that there's a shift, it's still the past repeating itself. We have to stop repeating. And goodness knows how we do that. But that's it for me. That's the thing that I know beyond a shadow of a doubt. That's the divine download I've been given. Thank you. Hallelujah. Bless you, Spirit. Show me how, because I'm not sure.
I think we need a moment of stillness in society. I think a long moment where everyone just needs to, excuse my words, but shut up and just stop talking. Like literally, everyone just needs to stop talking just for once. Because I think a lot of people just distract themselves by continuously talking about certain things, posting about certain things. I'm helping people understand this and understand that I think we need to sit more in stillness. I really believe that, because in that moment, all of that tugging and pulling and this controlling and managing just falls away. And in that very moment, if people can just get a little glimpse of what actually freedom means when you do sit in complete silence and stillness, I think we can actually realize the strings that our thoughts, it's almost like our thoughts are like the puppets. We're being strung. Our thoughts are being strung and pulled and pushed.
Mm.
Something outside of us. And when you sit in stillness, you realize that, and you can cut those strings, just like cord cutting, as an energetic exercise, or tool. And I really think sometimes I just wish everyone was just shut up just for a second for you to realize how much you're actually talking.
True. And the thing about saying this too, where people get very frustrated is, oh, well, I try meditation, I try silencing my mind, I try doing these things. And what we all have to realize in this world today, with everything that's coming at us, is that it could take a year to get to what you're actually saying. It
Yeah.
could actually take a year of practicing every day, even if it's 10 minutes a day, just or start with 5 minutes a day. Start with something that's doable. Light a candle, stare at the candle, just focus your energy on that. And it's like letting your thoughts and everything float by, because your mind thinks. That's what your mind does.
Yeah.
Learning how to put that in the background, learning how to let it be like the white noise, is what we're really talking about to get to that essence. But that could take a year. It takes dedication, it takes commitment. And here we are living in a world where it's instant gratification right now. Now is it. It's got to be right now, So now we have the metaverse that's being built up and being kind of pushed at us, because, hey, if you don't like what's happening in your real life, well, just go into your virtual reality, because everything is great there. You can have whatever, you can look whatever way you want. You have whatever avatar. You can live in whatever house you want.
Yeah.
You can have whatever career you want. You can hang out with your friends there. You can do whatever you want to do in the metaverse. And what I think with New Earth co-creators, what I hope, what I pray we are, what I would chant for is this idea of, like, I just co-wrote a song called Offline. And it's literally like there's a bridge that says, kick off your shoes, lay back on the grass, watch the clouds as they roll on glass. There's nothing better than living in the real world.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, this is what we're talking about. This is a real world. We have the opportunity to come together as human beings, as the ones with the opposable thumbs and individual consciousness, to take charge and create.
Yeah.
And not be sitting here and being victim. Like, people could say, well, wasn't silence taken during COVID? No, it actually wasn't. It wasn't. And it wasn't by choice. It was inflicted upon us. We were told this is what we have to do. And that's very different. For some people, yes, it was life-changing. They did find their silence. It was a blessing. And that's really, really great. But look how quickly the world just reverts back to everything that it was doing, because all of those sacred moments weren't necessarily continued as something important in life. And this is what we're talking about at the end of the day. We're talking about life. When we're condemning other people, we're condemning other lives. And as we do that, we're condemning ourselves. And that's the irony of the whole situation. If I wish somebody else ill, I am wishing it upon myself.
Exactly. One finger points at you, the other four point at me,
All
right?
the way back. Unless you're smart, like my friend's kid who came home from school one day and said, Daddy, I learned when you point this way, there's like 3 fingers pointing right back at you. He goes, that's great. What did you learn? From now on, I'm going to point like this. All of her fingers pointing forward, out of the mouths of babes. But the truth is that we're here to not just do this podcast and vent, and hopefully find some wisdom and some solutions and speak from our heart together. We're here to grow something. We're the seed in the soil. And, this podcast is one of the things that waters it. And what I really invite people to, maybe we need to start having some form of a community hall meeting or something where people can actually come in on our Facebook and have discussion. I don't know. Neither one of us wants to create more work for ourselves. But at the same time, it's like, what do people want?
I think most people don't know that. I think is the biggest challenge these days, because there's so much coming at us. People don't even know anymore what they want, nor do they feel the motivation or the strength to create something new. And so they're numbing themselves emotionally by stepping completely out. That's another thing that I'm seeing a lot. And probably I see it because I often feel similar, where I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to step away completely from all of this too much. But if we remain in that place of numbness, of completely checking out, we will not create something new. We have to continue the conversations. We have to continue to show up and live actually that life that we want to see, you know? Like for us, should we have chickens in our backyard? Hell no, we shouldn't. We weren't actually allowed to. Hopefully nobody from our neighborhood sees that. But we still go about it. We still go and say, you know what? No, we want to see something different. We want to create a different life for us. So we're just going to do it anyway. Sometimes we have to take risks. And right now is the time where we can take small risks each and every day that drive us and push us into a new way of thinking and a new way of living, into conversations that might actually open our eyes as well as the eyes of other people. We will never stop learning, and nobody is ever completely right, or there's always something that we can learn, that we can listen to. If we can just get to that point, and I'm speaking to everyone who is literally sitting here and is like, I feel like breaking out, I'm tired of what we're doing, this back and forth, I want to create something new. Yeah. I think those are the people that we invite into this conversation, because none of our generations has actually experienced something new to this point. No. We are now the generations who literally can create and a complete, imagine a different future, because we have been living this for thousands of years.
Mm-hmm. And we're either going to be in full on repeat, oh, here we're going, this is going to go here now, or we're going to do it differently. And that's it. Yeah. There is no third choice. Like, if you sit this out, if you put your head in the sand, well, you're either going to repeat or you're going to be part of doing it differently, one or the other. But that by doing nothing, you're still making a choice. And more than likely, by doing nothing, you're going to go back into whatever repeat cycle you're going to go back into. So, we have
whatever is the most familiar, the whatever you
is what we just continue to play out. Exactly.
Yeah, most
likely. And living in survival mode is not living. It's just not. It's surviving. But yet that's what we're used to doing. We are amazing survivors, and we're amazing at coping. And that's where we numb out. We numb out, and then we can cope and we can move forward. And what if that's really not the way? Yes, there might be a little pain. Yes, it might be a little uncomfortable. Yes, it might be a little inconvenient. But seriously, we are so much stronger than any of that. How on earth did we ever build anything based on the positions that we take at this moment in time? We couldn't have. So we require kind of rebirthing those parts of ourselves that are the pioneers, that are the inventors, that are the dreamers, that are the people that are willing to stand up and say, yeah, I want to be part of something. And if it's inconvenient, it's inconvenient. Yeah. I believe in it. And the more that we can do that, the more that things change, because there is way more of us than there are of quote unquote them. Us being a collective, humanity, not any nationality or religion or group or sect, but humanity. That is what we are. We are part of the human nation, and we are global in scope, and we are the New Earth co-creators. And therefore, look at newearthcc.org. Right? Check us out, join us, or go to the Facebook group. I never mentioned the Facebook group. What is the Facebook group?
I think it's / NECC111.
NECC111, yeah, because there's a few New Earths out there. Okay,
NECC111. But the direct link is actually on the website. So there's all the social media, platforms, and there's a direct link to all the social media platforms.
If you feel like you have something to contribute, say, we'd love to hear it. We have a whole economy. We have an economic system ready to take flight that can actually help us to put food on our tables and keep roofs over our heads, collectively, collaboratively, helping and assisting one another. We are interdependent species. We're designed this way. We are not these little solo flight People in our own little pods attempting to
Yeah.
just navigate the world on our own. And hey, I'm on the hill now and I'm safe. That is not how we're designed. And those that live that way in mass unhappiness and depression and sadness, which is why they continue to try to get more and more and more and more because they're trying to fill an unfillable void. And the void can be filled with one another, with love, with functionality, with creating something that has never existed in true form, fullness, fully realized on this planet to date. Let's be the ones to create that. I put my hand up for sure.
Yeah, we just have to use our imagination again. It's interesting that we say that, because when I teach at school, even there, the children have already forgotten how to use their imagination, and they're 6, 7, 8. And it's so difficult for me to push them and to motivate them to use their imagination, create something for yourself. But I don't know how to, and I don't know how to even think about this. And when children already get to this point where they don't know how to imagine, how to dream anymore, we really need to step up. And as adults, even if we're doing it wrong or whatever wrong is, right? Even just for us to
Gotta do
say,
it.
we're imagining, we're dreaming up
Gotta go
something
for
new,
it.
and we're just going to do it.
That's right. That's
Show
absolutely
them,
right.
teach them, so that we can create a better and a different future.
Take it offline, open up our minds, and use our imagination. Yes,
Ah,
yes.
yeah.
And remember, everybody, together we rise. So join us so that together we can rise. And when we rise, all the other ships rise too, right? Everybody rises together. Always a pleasure, my dear. I love you.
I love you too.
Peace.
Bye.